So how have you guys been during the lockdown then?
Bored, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I've been working, finished uni now, apart from one exam, so just waiting on results really for myself.
Are you both doing finals then, or have you both done finals?
I have personally, I think Jordan's second year.
Yeah, I've just finished my second year. So
I'm dissertation there from this year, and then I've just sent my master's application off, so I'm waiting for that to come back. Results and everything. So
yeah, it's a really difficult time. My eldest is just doing his masters, and he's back from Durham at the moment. And you haven't got access to all the material you need, all your textbooks, all that kind of stuff. It's a really, really difficult time. And of course, you haven't got that university experience, which is what you went for, of doing other stuff with your mates.
Well, it's especially difficult with us. Obviously, I was meant to have my graduation ceremony next week.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a letdown sort of end to the uni experience, really. But
yeah,
not a lot you can do about it at the end of the day. It's one of them things, isn't it? So,
whereabouts are you at uni? Nottingham?
Yes, Nottingham Trent myself.
Nottingham Trent. What about Jordan? Are you Nottingham or Nottingham Trent?
Nottingham Uni of.
Oh, right. So there's no rivalry there at all.
Even better city law as well. So.
Yeah.
Well, I was at EME OTC for 2 tours as a company commander, and the amount of rivalry between Nottingham and Nottingham Trent, although my niece was at Nottingham Trent, got a very good business degree, and is now working in Australia with Hewlett Packard. So, swings and roundabouts. But I'm not going to get drawn into which is the better university, because they're both very good. So there you go. I won't be drawn on that one.
Yeah, I'll admit, I think the vote it's different now to where it was 10, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. It's
you do still get them die-hard sort of students that are like, Trent's the best and screw uni off sort of people. But I think on the majority of people can recognise that they're both good unis. And
yeah, they are. And Nottingham Trent's had a huge sort of in terms of the infrastructure, huge uplift, and it seems to have expanded a lot. Certainly from when I first started going to Nottingham, crikey, when I was a captain with 4 Para in Triumph Road in Lenton, which is now 4 Para again. So that's how I got to know Nottingham, and then I was at the OTC as a company commander. So it's really, really good. Both universities and the city itself. And as you know, I've moved to Nottinghamshire Police from Leicestershire for a bit of a change. And I genuinely think Nottingham and the county, the city and the county, are great places. If you look at the infrastructure builds in the city now, when they're all done, it'll be absolutely fantastic. And it's a good night out as well, allegedly, so I'm told.
I don't know what I've got no evidence to support that whatsoever. But
either, to be honest.
Yeah, don't know what you're on about, sir.
Right. So, how do you want to do the sort of structure from now then?
Well, I'll just introduce it then to everyone listening. So, for those who've been watching, you'll know that my name is Lieutenant Emery, and I'm with my co-host Sergeant Shellard. This is the Inspiring Achievement podcast. We're joined by a very, very special guest today, our boss, the Commandant of Nottinghamshire ACF,
Col Southall.
And we're going to talk today a bit about his career, his time in the ACF, or his time in the Army, his time in the police, his time in the ACF. We're just going to have a conversation a bit about cadets and hopefully answer some of your cadet questions. So, yeah. Shall we start then, sir, by going, we've touched a bit about your time in the ACF or your time in the military, but can you just give us a bit of a brief outline of your career going forward?
Okay, so just starting again, we had an initial take there. Introductions, I'm Col Southall, I'm the Commandant of Notts ACF, and Jordan and Ben have asked me to talk a bit about my what I've done in the cadets and my kind of military journey. So, going back into the depths of time, I joined the CCF, Combined Cadet Force, and I was in the Army section from 1981 for a year with the Worcestershire and Sherwood Foresters, now the Mercians, as you'll know, in B Company. I then joined the Marine Cadets, and I was a Marine Cadet until 1985. I think I was a WA2 when I left school. And I went to camps at Gaelic Head in Scotland with the Marines, Penhale, and weekends with the Royal Marine Reserve in Bristol, which we're attached to as cadets, which is really, really good stuff. We also did loads of field days at Commander Training Centre at Lympstone and had a chance to do the Tarzan course and Commander course and stuff like that. So I had a really, really varied kind of best part of 5 years with the cadets. And as a result of that, I managed to get the opportunity to do 3 winter mountaineering sessions in the Cairngorms with the cadets. And I also did 2 summers alpine climbing in the Swiss Alps, again with the cadets, before 1985 when I left school. So the plan was to join the Marines in 85. I did that to interview at the Admiralty Interview Board, passed that, and then it was suggested I go to university, which I had no intent of doing, but I did. And I dropped out of uni. It wasn't really for me at the time, didn't finish my degree, and enlisted into the Light Infantry as a private soldier in 1987, going to the Light Division Depot, which was at Winchester at the time. I then passed out from there, did my regular commissions board, and now the Army Officers Selection Board at Westbury in 1988, spent a year at Sandhurst, and then joined the 2nd Battalion, the Light Infantry, current iteration being the Rifles, in December 1989. So that's a very brief kind of history of my time in the cadets and where it led to with the regular army. Any questions so far?
Well, I was just going to highlight. So, went from the Marine cadets, and I'm sure we'll come on to this in a second when we start talking about your time in the reserves and the parachute regiment. But what allured you to the Marine cadets over the Army cadets?
Time. There are a lot more opportunities, and because we were attached to the Royal Marine Reserve and we had field days and the Royal Marine Cadet Training Team were really good, it just had a few more opportunities at the time. So that was really what attracted me to the Marine Cadets, as opposed to the Army section, which I did probably about just under a year with.
I think that's probably still quite similar now when people start looking at why they want to join certain youth organisations. They look at the opportunities. So it's interesting to see how that kind of stemmed back, and that's how it affected your career in the cadet. Yeah. So why commission? That's a question. Why did you decide to commission?
That went right back to really, I suppose, from the age of probably before. Well before 13, I always fancied joining Marines or joining the military, and because I was doing O-levels as they were at the time, GCSEs as you know now, and A-levels, it was like a natural progression with those qualifications. That allowed me to apply for a commission. So it was just kind of a natural consequence of what I was doing at school. Had I left school at 16, it may have been different, but because I did A-levels and got the grace to go to university, it was like a natural kind of progression.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that it really appealed to me in terms of a job, and at the time the advertising recruiting was pretty good, as it is now, and it just looked like a really, really good opportunity to do something different rather than a 9-to-5 desk job. So that's really why I chose to get down the commissioning route.
That's cool. That's really interesting the way, though. Kind of for myself, I always envisaged myself joining the army, and unfortunately, due to medical reasons, I can't. And I think I have kind of a similar outlook on life as you, doing my A-levels and then going on to a degree. I think commissioning was always going to be. I always wanted to join the army as an officer, so it's interesting, those parallels. So we've touched on a bit about you joining the army, and we got to the start. Could you tell us a bit about your time as a young officer in what is now the Rifles?
Yeah, I was posted to LI, 2nd Battalion Light Infantry in Tidworth, after doing 3-4 months of the Platoon Command's battle course at Warminster. Very quickly, I was deployed straight to South Armagh as a platoon commander on what was called Op Banner, dealing the troubles in Northern Ireland at the time. I spent three months in South Armagh, a place called Crossmaglen, which was interesting, and then East Tyrone, a short deployment there. So that was my first experience as a platoon commander. I was posted to 3LI, 3rd Battalion, the Light Infantry in Paderborn in Germany. Fantastic location. Once I got over the fact that my girlfriend was at home and I was in Germany, and once you got over that, it was really, really good. We then deployed for another tour in West Belfast, Op Banner, in 1991, which was quite a 7 months in the end for me. That was quite a long tour. Good fun would be the wrong way to describe it. It was professionally very rewarding. I had a superb platoon, some really, really good NCOs, and my guys were superb as well. So that was kind of from Germany, came back and I went off to do my gunnery course as a warrior fighting vehicle gunnery officer. So I think I did about 13 weeks at Lulworth Cove, the Royal Armoured Corps Centre there. Bit of time at Bovington learning how to drive and fix warriors, and then went back to Germany and converted. We were converting to warrior at the time. This is just after Gulf War One, and I was the company second in command and the warrior gunnery officer and what they call the warrior captain, which is a great title. But actually, most of that time was spent sort of working in the sheds, bashing tracks and making sure the vehicles were up to speed. We converted to warrior, did all the gunnery trials with that. Again, the guys absolutely excelled themselves within the company and really impressed the small arms corps guy who came to see our gunnery and how we progressed from being infantry grunts to being, as well, in my opinion, as good as any armoured corps 30mm rod and cannon operators. So that was really, really great. I did totally 3 years in Germany, met my wife in Germany, girlfriend at the time, wife now, and then we came back to the UK for my last posting, and I ran the Army Youth Team in West Yorkshire, which was absolutely brilliant. I was being paid to deliver and conduct adventurous training for school children from 13 to 18 in West Yorkshire. And when we weren't doing that, we'd have team training, which would usually consist of a week's climbing, kayaking, and mountaineering in Wales with my team. So really, really varied career in the relatively short regular service, regular commission career in Light Infantry. And then, due to options for change, the first major defence cuts, I was a short service commission officer. And it was virtually impossible to go regular. So I reluctantly left the regular army in 1994 and then joined 4 Para in the January of 95. So I had about a month off soldiering and joined 4 Para, and the rest is history. Had an absolutely great time with 4 Para, enjoyed my regular service. And then since 1995, I've worked predominantly with the police, although I had 4 years working in business prior to that. And I've been a reservist ever since 1995, which is, I've had some fantastic opportunities with the Army Reserve.